Good morning. Welcome to my garden, Lilac Hill. I've just stepped outside because it finally stopped raining. It has been pouring for days. And what we're looking at now is my sweet pea, who doesn't seem to mind all that rain at all. It still has lots of buds and blooms. And I did collect a few seeds. So that's just so pretty. And I really want to take the pot apart because I want to winterize the clematis, because you can see that it's just a plastic insert. And I like to put this pot under shelter because over time, if they're left out, they get a little bit of weather beaten. So I do want to take this apart, but I can't when the sweet pea looks so good. And down there you can see where I frost protected my big Daphne. The dome of green is a professional frost cover, and then I just wrapped it in fleece for the bottom part because I had a bit of trouble squishing the Daphne into the cover, but I did it very gently. But next year that Daphne won't fit. So this is just a little porch that are landing, and I've taken all the plants off for the winter. I do have an anemone on here that I'll just show because I do have some bulbs that I will add to this anemone. I don't know which one this is. I have two anemone. I think they both came from wildflower seeds. Oh, and that pot was one from a secondhand store. It's called a tulip pot. Nice frost-proof pot. I saw that and thought, yep, that's coming home with me. But everything still needs to be winterized. So what I want to share today is my compost area that's been all cleaned, and I did some pruning on the buddleia to take off the morning glory vine. So let's head over to the compost area, and then I'll share the bulbs that I have for the rest of the season. You can see Terry's been working on his fence. He's got the cross braces up. That was recommended to help the posts stay straight and not warp over winter. And then the green tube from the gutter helps the water drain away from the building. And eventually that tube will connect, the downspout will connect to a rain barrel that we have, but we have to put the patio down first. On this side is a wildlife corridor. So the animals move down here between the properties. The cedars is the neighbor. And that's where the animals come to move through our garden. The bear really used it this year. We caught the bear quite a few times on the UFI cameras that are attached to the house. So lots of leaves on the ground. It's very atmospheric. Definitely fall. I've got a project to do in here. Little float plane flying overhead. A lot of people come by float plane to Powell River. I think it sounds really cool when the planes fly over because you can't drive here. Well, you can drive here, but the road will take you to a ferry, and then you have to take the ferry either from Vancouver Island or from the mainland, North Vancouver. So if you want to see an interesting map, look up how to get to Powell River from Vancouver. It's quite a bit involved. It takes me about 6 hours to go down to see my mom in Pitt Meadows. But that's what keeps this place unique, is the fact that it's not easily accessible. You have to sort of be able to do the ferries and have that patience. So the project today is to take my baskets apart. These beautiful baskets with the lovely butterfly embellishments. I don't want them out in the rain anymore. But these are still growing and blooming too, the pelargoniums. So I will be putting the pelargoniums into a big pot, and then these can go into storage. There's actually a plastic half pie plate in there to help hold the soil. So it just goes to show I'm always recycling my bits and bobs for use. And oh, look at all the real estate that is left when the big hosta Summit Substance is cut back. It literally goes from side to side when it's in bloom, but it's resting now. It'll be back in the spring. And then here's the Annabelle hydrangea, and a tithonia in here. But look at the buds on the camellia for 2025 spring. That's going to be really nice. So yes, this one's going to come down, and they all need to be emptied, put away properly. Like I was saying about the ceramic pot, if you leave things out in the elements, they don't stay as nice over the years. Look how leaf in there. Oh, the leaves are everywhere. Okay, so let's go have a look at the compost area. I don't think I've shown this area yet. Oh gosh, don't look at the tree peony. It's not as bad as it looks. The wind takes off every single leaf, and we had very, very strong winds. There is definitely sign of life. Look at the buds. This plant is fine. And when I'm pruning this tree peony, I never prune, like this is an obvious example. This is a big fat bud. I would not prune this branch. This branch doesn't show too much life up top, but the bud is right here. So I could take this off. So you have to really watch for new growth. And this plant has pushed up a branch from the bottom this spring. So it is loaded in little pink buds. And I will put maybe some compost on there to give it a nice winter covering. But this just falls off now. I'm not going to take them off. I let them fall off naturally. And none of these ties are tight. It's just a bit of a brace for when the wind really picks up. But the plant seems to be happy. I've had it over 20 years, probably close to 25. This is the parent plant of the chrysanthemum. This is the one that I take apart and divide if I want to make more chrysanthemum. And I think it looks really pretty with the penstemon. I think that is dark towers, if that's the correct name. And the hydrangeas looking beautiful. So here is the tool shed Terry built this summer with the barn door. Nothing very exciting happening in here. It's just storage. But you can just sort of see what the potential will be for lots of good places to hang and take care of my things. I've got a nice tool chest back there that he doesn't need. Oh, and there in the corner is the rain barrel that's going on the patio. Okay, squeaky door. So here is the composting area behind Terry's workshop. There are 2 rain catching barrels. They're actually livestock water barrels. They're up on cement so that I can get all the water out. What will happen now is these will be emptied into the forest, and these get turned over winter. I don't really think they need to have water in them all year. I just worry about them being plastic. They're heavy gauge plastic, but I'd prefer to turn them, and I can kind of get all the silt out of the bottom. This cement block is interesting. This was here when we moved in. We have no idea what it is, but I use it for a landing little patio or just a place to stand when I'm working on the table. So I really like it back here. Eventually, Terry wants to give me a shelter back here because this is quite exposed and there's no real undercover area on the property. I could go underneath the big sun deck as long as I remember to duck where on the one side of the entrance is quite low. But the big sun deck, I could set up some area under there. But this has all my soil and my pots. And I am storing under the eaves. These are just pots I'm not using, but I will use in the spring. I'm planning to do my dahlias in big pots and then inserting the pots into the garden in pots. And then when I come to empty the pots, I can just bring them back here. And this mat, I can actually dump the pots right onto the mat and put the soil into these various bins and reuse the soil. This compost is all covered. It's ready to be rotted down now. And I turned this one. You can see I've got my fork. I've got some fresh things to go in. This one's been emptied. And then I did sift compost about 3 weeks ago now. And I made my own compost. So I'm quite pleased with myself. Look at this beautiful compost. Beautifully sifted and ready to use. These other barrels hold other types of soil. I got some more soil from the neighbor across the street when she wanted to empty her planter boxes. I'm composting that down. And then this is a kind of a funny one. This sort of sounds like a bark mulch looking soil. It came from the dump when someone emptied their planters, and I brought the cubes of soil home, because soil in a town where there's no agriculture, it's hard to come by. Everything has to be brought in. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm just taking my bucket, dumping it, and then this one is the frozen one. We just have these bags, dump it. It's a frozen block of vegetables, which doesn't really seem quite practical, but by freezing my vegetables, the bear, by the time that's unthawed, the bear has no interest in it, and I will bury that nice and deep, and then I put this black cover over with bricks, and it seems to work. My nicely sifted compost is proof. So what's also happening back here is this is all getting fenced. We have a quote from a fence company, but you can see the bricks are past the fence. The fence post is here, right here. So these bricks all have to be moved and brought forward about, about a foot, I guess. But that's the nice thing with using a brick. That's not, oh, it's heavy. They're not attached. So I can actually do any configuration of setup I want back here. And that's the number one reason we did the compost area in brick rather than wood, was for the long-term, well, it's not going to rot. So in the long term, this should be here for years and years and years. This chain link came also from Ed. Boy, I sure got a lot of stuff from my neighbor. And we're going to have the company install that in the lower chicken run garden. And then the new fence will not block our wildlife corridor, which I showed earlier. The new fence starts about 2 feet from that side of where the water's dripping, and then comes right along here to the corner, and then it goes all the way back here, and just gives me a nice sense of enclosure back here that I want. Okay, so that's composting covered. That's new fence covered. So I can hear the rain plopping off the trees. It really, really has been pouring. So now let's have a look at my container that I got from the city. I made some labels for the front. I've got one that says veg, annuals, sunflowers, and bulbs. And these are all my seed packs that now I store in the house. And this gives people an idea of what I've grown over this last year and what I still want to grow. I didn't do this Lavatera. I've done that one before. There's Cosmos. Do these seed packs. I don't use all of the seeds. These are the Cosmos. So that's going to be fun. So I call that the annuals. Oh, I love zinnias. I can hardly wait to do my zinnias again. And dahlias. I missed all those plants this year. Some veg. I'm going to try veg maybe in some pots on the deck, along with the pots of roses. And Terry got me 6 boxes of bulbs, and this is what they look like. I think they're really cool. And this anemone one hasn't been planted. It's going to go with that a little into that anemone pot that I mentioned earlier called the tulip pot. And it says specifically on here not to plant till the late spring. And these boxes are so cute. So as I put the items into their pots, they're stored underneath the big sun deck against the house. Safe and sound. I've got a grate over them so the cats can't come in and disrupt the soil. So this is what's gone in for the fall. Purple Sensation, 6 White Lion, 6 Ice Follies of the daffodils, and 6 Love Day. So those are the the boxes look like this. I just cut the cards off the front. So that should be 6, I think. Yeah, 6. 6 new bulb boxes from Terry, so that was very kind, and he knew that's what I wanted. My friend Sherry across the street gave me these beautiful tulip called Ice Cream. They've gone into a pot. I can't do spring without my Imperial Crown Lily fritillarias. And they're a cool bulb. They actually smell really funny. And I think I've shown the Queen of the Night, a very popular tulip. Caribbean Dream. And then And this one's really good for bees. And then Daydream Tulip and more of the little, beautiful little narcissus. Okay, so that covers that. Oh, and the sunflowers. I have so many sunflowers. People give me sunflower seed packs in my birthday cards at the end of October because they just know I love my sunflowers. And this is the sweet pea that's growing on the arbor. Oh, that's the Morning Glory. This is the Morning Glory. It's just called Morning Glory. I don't even think, oh, it's all taped up. I don't want to open it, but it's just, that's the Morning Glory that I grew on the buddleia. Very easy. It all came off really nicely. Gosh, there's so many more. Oh, that's the sweet pea that's on the, that's growing on the trellis with the yellow pot. This one's got to be taken apart. And I mark on the back. I've actually used these seeds for a few years now. There's still more sunflowers in here. Oh, look at this one. Isn't that sweet? My Auntie Sandra. She really is a nice person. Very influential person for me in my life. So these are all my sunflowers. They all need to go in next year. At least 1 or 2 seeds from each pack I want to try. Okay, so let's just make that all nice and dry. And then we're going to end with a look at the pruning I did on the buddleia. Look at this one. This looks like so much fun. Is that like a teddy bear? And I keep my seeds for quite a few years. If they don't germinate, well, that's okay. But so far, I've had pretty good luck with keeping seeds as long as they're dry and dark. Don't let them get damp. All right, so that is the seeds. That's the composting. That's the water. I think I missed anything. Let's just have it over here. Then we're going to walk over and look at the butterfly bush. Wow, this globe artichoke is still growing. Aw. Little calendula. That's so sweet. Plants are so tough. They just keep going. Look at the colors in here. The globe artichoke. They say to cut it back and then use the leaf for the mulch. So we'll see if it comes back. Okay. The big Ed Rose pot's been protected with some foam. And the deer haven't been through to bite the stems, so maybe I don't need the net anymore. And there is the butterfly bush. Look how gorgeous it is now. And all of the stems of the Morning Glory came off really easily. I like the shape that I pruned it to. If I left all the Morning Glory vines and also the Scarlet Runner Bean vines on there, it would have made a lot of like a big wet mat, and then maybe when the snow fell, could break branches. Just cleaned it right up, and you can see the heather shrubs now underneath. Yeah, so everything is just really nice. It's kind of a little bit smoky in the air. There's definitely that wet fall ambiance. And I'll end today with my beauty berry, Calacarpa, behind the glass house. And thank you for watching.